In the year 897 AD, Rome was not the holy city people imagine today. It was violent, divided, and ruled by fear. The papacy itself had become a weapon in a political war between powerful families, and whoever held the throne of St. Peter rarely held it for long. This is where our case begins. Pope Formosus had been dead for nearly a year. His body rested in a tomb inside St. Peter's Basilica, and most people believed his troubled reign had finally ended with his death. But one man refused to let him rest. That man was Pope Stephen VI. Stephen had risen to power backed by enemies of Formosus, men who hated the alliances Formosus had made while alive. To them, Formosus wasn't just a former pope, he was a threat even in death. And Stephen was determined to erase him completely. So Stephen ordered something no one in Rome had ever seen before. Formosus's grave was opened. His decomposed body was pulled from the tomb, dressed again in papal robes, and carried into a church courtroom. The corpse was placed upright on a throne, its head barely held together, its jaw hanging open. People watched in horror as a trial began, not of a man, but of a body. Stephen himself led the proceedings. He shouted accusations at the dead pope, accusing him of breaking church law, of betraying Rome, of illegally taking the papal throne. Since the accused could not speak, a terrified deacon was forced to answer on behalf of the corpse. The verdict was never in doubt. Formosus was declared guilty on all charges. Stephen ordered that every decision Formosus had ever made as pope be declared invalid. Bishops he had appointed were stripped of their authority. Blessings he had given were erased as if they had never existed. Then Stephen went further. The 3 fingers Formosus had once used to bless the faithful were cut from the corpse. His papal robes were ripped away. And finally, his body was dragged through the streets of Rome and thrown into the Tiber River. Stephen believed this would end the matter. Instead, it destroyed him. The people of Rome were horrified. Even in a city accustomed to cruelty, the trial of a corpse crossed a line. Rumors spread that Stephen had lost his mind. Riots broke out. Support for him collapsed almost overnight. Within months, Pope Stephen VI was arrested by his own people. He was thrown into prison, abandoned by the same factions that had once protected him. And there in a dark cell, he was strangled to death. After Stephen's fall, later popes condemned the trial. Formosus's body was recovered from the river and buried again with honor. His reputation was restored, but the memory of what happened in 897 AD never faded. Because in that year, the Catholic Church put a dead man on trial, and in doing so, revealed how dangerous power becomes when driven by revenge instead of justice. That was the case of 897 AD.